I believe we are live. Let me check this out and find myself on Facebook. That would be nice. Oops, that's Twitter. I don't get on Twitter much. Good afternoon. This is Resilience This Week, the live show periodically that I put on that talks about resilience in the news and resilience tips and tricks that you might be able to use. So we are going to start shortly. There we go. Well, now let me turn this down. There we go. Fabulous. Well, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. I am really excited that you are here and you're joining me on Resilience This Week, because you must be a person who wants to be more resilient, especially if you have been in a situation where you've been with an emotionally abusive person or just a really tough relationship. Because you can be more resilient, you can be more authentic, you can be more yourself. And that's what I want to teach here on this channel, as well as my YouTube channel. So speaking of that, let me just do a little bit of self-promotion. I have started to put some videos up on YouTube, some Q&As from the Emotional Abuse Summit, some really cool videos. Let me just show you here. Hold on. Let me see here. I can show you my YouTube videos. It's at youtube.com/real-life-resilience, and I will see if I can show it to you right here. There we go. Here's my YouTube channel, and I have some really cool playlists. And the first playlist is Resilience Resources. Things like how to stop verbal and emotional abuse. I love that. The science of writing to heal. The 4 commitments every woman should make in recovery from narcissistic abuse. So I would love for any of you to go there, and it's at youtube.com/real-life-resilience. I'm in mine right here, so let's go to real life, oops, not real, youtube.com/real-life-resilience. There we go. Anyway, this is the playlist Resilience Resources, and I know these are going to help so many people, because there are a lot of people that are in tough relationships. They might not know it's with a narcissist just yet, but they're in tough relationships, so this will really, really help them. And then the other thing I've done is have a Q&A. So there are questions that I've asked experts, questions that people have asked me about narcissistic relationships, about tough relationships, about emotional abuse. And so my experts have answered those questions, and I have made those into some YouTube videos. So please go there, share them, like them, comment on them, and YouTube will show them to more people, of course. So this is a little self-serving, but thank you for all of the supporters out there who have done that. There are the live streams of Resilience This Week. Yay, there's me right now live on YouTube. And I know actually the last 2 lives I've done have had no sound. So hopefully this has sound. If there is sound, please let me know, actually. Make a comment. In any case, thank you for watching, and maybe you're lip reading, I don't know. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about a couple of articles, and one of them in particular is something from Dr. Henry Cloud. I love Dr. Henry Cloud. I love what he stands for and love what he does to help people understand boundaries. So people who get into tough relationships and stay in tough relationships, as I have done in the past, tend to do that because they move their boundaries. They don't set really healthy boundaries. They fear what happens if they set those boundaries, or if they Don't let other people run right over them. And it's really tough to start setting boundaries. So he has an amazing group. It's at boundaries.me, boundaries.me, and you can join. I think it's $9 a month, but he has amazing videos that he puts out. And this one in particular mentioned that it's not your job to rescue everyone. And that is just so true. So many of us are rescuers, and that's what in our mindset we feel like, oh, I can help that person, or if I don't help them, who will? But what Dr. Cloud says is that there's a difference between helping somebody who is disabled, helping somebody who can't help themselves, and helping somebody who should be taking care of themselves, who is resisting growing up, who is being emotionally abusive just because they can, and keep you running after them, keep you doing things. I had one time, I had a husband in the past who one time asked me to clean his contacts for him. And I'm a helper. Of course I'll help clean your contacts. His hands were dirty or whatever. So I cleaned his contacts. And the next night he asked the same thing. Next night, and the next night. And before you know it, a couple years went by. And I said, why am I cleaning your contacts? And he got mad. And so I'm like, wait a minute. So I've let this go on for quite a long time. And it's not my job to clean his it wasn't my job to clean his contacts. But we tend to get into these situations, and then it's very, very difficult to get out. So what you need to start doing is setting your own boundaries, and stop rescuing some of these folks. You might be rescuing a child, rescuing a parent, rescuing a sibling, rescuing a spouse, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, and they don't need rescued. They just want to control you. So whenever you're doing that, I want you to think about, can this person do it themselves? Or should this person be doing it themselves? We can find all kinds of excuses for them, reasons for them not to be doing this. But I think if you will really take a look and think, well, maybe I'm just afraid to say no now that I've done it for so long. And if you've ever had that situation, I'd love for you to share that in the comments. And if you've ever been in a situation where you've rescued somebody, or you've done some things for somebody who really should be rescuing themselves, that's really, really interesting. All right, so that was over on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me over on LinkedIn, please do, linkedin.com/Stacy Brookman, and you will see some of the things that I post over there, and get really interesting tidbits like this that's not on anywhere else, not on Facebook, not on YouTube. This was only on LinkedIn. So let's move into the podcast of the week. This was one of my favorite podcasts, Sharon Roth Lichtenfeld. And I know I say this with all of them, but Sharon was a firecracker, and that's why I named this Adversity Be Damned, Hello Resilience. It was a really cool interview I did with her a while back, and she has, get this, she has not just a bio, she has an adversity bio. She has had enough tough stuff in her life to actually have an adversity bio, and I love it. So she was just telling us, or she has on her website, her bio, her adversity bio, that says, here's what's happened to me, and here's what's happened to me, and here's what's happened to me. But you know what? I have survived. I have overcome that, and I've adapted, and I've done some things to become healthier and get over those. So I love her attitude, and sometimes maybe you're not a firecracker. I get it. I spent a lot, I'm an introvert. I spent a lot of my life apologizing for myself, apologizing for what I've done, trying to stay in the background, trying to not be seen. And so, you might not be a firecracker like Sharon, but that's okay. You can still be resilient, and you can still overcome adversity. And so what she says is, adversity happens to all of us. Adversity, there's always going to be pain of some sort. And so you know, you can't get through it faster. You can go through it faster, and you can come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and with more meaning. And so that's what I encourage you to do. If you are in adversity right now, or if you're going through adversity, just actually, of course, you know what I love to do is write through your adversity to get to the other side. But when you write and when you start to stop to think, you start recognizing how in the world you got into that adversity, how in the world to get out, maybe take some baby steps, and you know, recognize that there is peace and joy. So even find little bits of joy every day in the midst of really tough circumstances. Maybe it's a medical condition, or you know, tough family situations. Find some sort of joy every day, even if it's just the tiniest bit, and find something to be grateful for as well. So you can go to stacybrookman.com/Sharon Roth Lichtenfeld, and I will actually put the link to all of these things in the show notes after this live. But I will tell you, show you a little bit more about that, and post those links so that you can go and you can listen to Sharon. So bottom line for her is she believes that even when you're in the midst of adversity, even when tough stuff happens, joy and peace are always available to you. You have to reach out and find them. And that's pretty cool. All right, so let me see if there's any discussions on that. Very cool. All right, so that was the blog post of the week. And now we have a piece of news. I love looking up resilience and trying to find resilience news. This is from Thrive Global. I've got a lot of positive stuff on here. And so this author, Liggy Webb, presents the beauty of resilience and how you can be resilient. And here's a description by Sonia Schwartzbach. I love this too, and the author does too. And then resilience enters the room, the most elegant of emotional beings, glowing, refined, a reminder that even a flicker of light glows amidst the darkness, and we can save our tiny ship of troubles from life's stormy seas once again. Now, I love that. It is very elegant, and it gives you hope. Now, it's not going to say that everything is going to be rosy, everything's going to turn out, you just need to change your mind, and, you know, etc. There's going to be some really tough times. Times when you cry, times when you scream and shout and say, this is not fair. But resilience always comes back. And as this author says, resilience is a beautiful, rich, and inspiring topic. One of the things that I know is that resilience, you're not born with it. You are not born with resilience. You grow into it. You get better at it by studying it and by taking little baby steps toward resilience. And when you do, you're going to find your life totally changes. It really, really does, even in the midst of tough circumstances. So what she says, to be a more resilient person, it is more than just able to recover and survive, getting back up one more time, and it is that, but also there are some strategies to help you become more resilient. And I love what she put down here. The first one is take a journey of self-discovery. You know, that's one of the things I had to do when I was in my tough circumstances, and I know lots of people have, is kind of do an internal deep dive into how in the world did you get into that situation. And a lot of times life happens to us, but stop right there and say, okay, how did that happen? How did that happen? And how did that happen? And when you stop to take a deep dive, then you start to realize, oh, yeah, I allowed that little thing to happen, or I let that slip or slide, or I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, etc. And you've accepted some things maybe you shouldn't have. But take that journey of self-discovery. This is not blaming at all. There is, there are, especially with narcissists and sociopaths, they prey on really highly intelligent and highly sensitive and amazing giving people. And so don't blame yourself for that. This is not blame, but this is taking a look at how in the world did that happen? How did I get into that situation? And finding the things out about yourself that you really should be. In fact, some of that is great things. You have strengths that you don't even realize yet. I had a little piece of paper one time and it said you have the key to doors that you haven't even opened, that haven't even been shown to you yet, and you really do. And self introspection is one of those, and with that comes self-compassion, compassion for the things that you've been through, and recognition of your skills. You might not think you have any skills, but I guarantee you, you really do. So take a journey of self-discovery. The second one is see the glass as half full. It is, when you have really tough stuff, it's really easy to see that like nothing's going to ever get better. But nothing will ever get better if you really have that attitude. It doesn't mean, hey, having a happy attitude in spite of really bad stuff is going to work. But you can stay a little bit positive and see the joy, like Sharon had said, because often you get in that pessimistic trap and it's a dark circle, a spiral downwards, and you can't get yourself out of that. And so you have to be aware of that. Take emotional control. Wow, this one's hard. Who knew that you really need to take emotional control of yourself? When you have kids that are young and they're throwing a temper tantrum in the grocery store and you really want them to get a hold of themselves. Well, guess what? We tend to have emotional temper tantrums. We actually sometimes lose control of our emotions, and sometimes that's not necessarily kicking and screaming, but it is shying away from things you really should do. Fear. You let fear take control, or you let fear of the unknown, fear of what will happen, fear of making somebody else angry, fear of doing the wrong thing. You let some of those things control you, which is an old story. That's an old record that's playing in your mind. And so you do have to take emotional control, take responsibility for your emotions, and look at that fear and say, what's that fear all about? I don't know. Let me dig into it. Let me write about that. Let me explore that. Number 4 is change for the better. So there are some things that you can change about yourself. Perhaps you don't have any friends. Sometimes it's hard to make friends as adults. Sometimes you're being rigid about certain things and you need to be more flexible. So take a look and say, okay, what can I change incrementally to make myself better? Even if it has nothing to do with that circumstance or that relationship or whatever, what can you do to make yourself better? And you'll be better equipped to respond to life crises. Number 5 is cope well with conflict. That's really good. Conflict is inevitable. Really, there's just, you're never going to get away with it without it. So why not face it head on and learn how to get through that conflict? There are some interpersonal things that they just don't necessarily teach you in school on how to deal with the conflict and how to deal with other folks. Sometimes in business they'll teach you that. You'll have classes on getting along well with others, or creative conflict or something like that. But you've got to start to be a student of the conflict, particularly the conflict in your life, and find some solutions that way as well. Probertunities. Embrace probertunities. I love this. It's a hybrid between problem and opportunity because they're two sides to a coin. Sometimes it's a problem, but it might also be an opportunity. Last year I worked for a corporation and they outsourced almost my whole department, and thought that was a problem, but that actually happened to be an amazing opportunity for me. That's just your typical example. It happened to me, but there are lots of opportunities in your problems. But you know what? First of all, you've got to define your problems. A lot of times those problems are up in our head and we're all kind of anxious about it, and we really haven't defined the problem. And again, I'm going to recommend writing. Writing about your problem will help you define it, first of all, so you can see it clearly in black and white, and then you can find the opportunity. I have the opportunity to stretch and grow and learn new skills, and I want to meet that head on, and so I'm going to do that. Love that. Become a you find the opportunity, and then become a possibilitarian. So this is from Norman Vincent Peale. No matter how dark things seem to be or actually are, raise your sights and see the possibilities. Always see them, for they are always there. And so I urge you to look at the possibilities when you look up and out. Sometimes you might need a friend to help you look at that as well, just to be a sounding board and bounce things off of. Look after yourself. Very, very hard if you are in a high-powered job, a stressful job, if you've got kids at home and you've got chaos all around you. It is very, very difficult to look after yourself. I've been doing a lot of research on meditation and how that helps you tremendously, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. It is so incredible. So you've got to really look after yourself. I'm not saying just meditation is the only thing you can do, but that is one of the most healthy things you can do for yourself. Really, if it's just like on an airplane, when something's happening and the masks come down, you've got to place a mask on yourself before you place it on your child or somebody else next to you that needs help. Because if you don't have that oxygen, you're not going to be able to help somebody else. So look after yourself, care for yourself. Make positive connections. You know, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Sometimes you got to build a support system. What am I saying? Sometimes, always, you've got to build a support system. We are wired for connection. You've got to find some folks to be your sounding board, to be able to hear your story and hold your story in their hands with care. They don't have to make suggestions for you. They're not going to be able to solve your problems, but they can hold your story. And that is so incredibly meaningful. And so positive connections, you might have a lot of people who are just talking negative into your life. Get rid of those folks or limit your contact with them. But you really need people who are positive and a joy to be around and that will lift your spirits. And, get that support, and they might also be able to help you think through and talk through some things that will help solve some of those problems. Keep going, and we've all heard that quote by Winston Churchill: if you're going through hell, keep going, get out on the other side. And that is certainly true. Each setback is a stepping stone. You know, I'm getting ready to launch a course, and it's called Life Story Laboratory, and I can't tell you how many setbacks that thing has had. I mean, I'm supposed to have gotten it out. Well, that was my own self-imposed deadline in May, and then it was supposed to come out in June, and then it was supposed to come out in July, and now it was definitely not in August. No way. I am hoping to make the end of September deadline for myself. And I have so many things to do, and sometimes I have so many things to do I can't think of what to do, and I get setbacks, and some folks not doing what they supposed to do, and things where I'm tired, or trips I have to take and that get in the way. And you know what? I am still going to take baby steps. I really am. This live stream is an example. Oh my goodness. I have tried to do live streaming. I can't be consistent yet so far. I'm out of town, or like the last 2 live streams had no sound at all. I just kept on going. I had no idea. I really do hope this has sound. But it's crazy, but I'm going to continue, and I encourage you to continue and keep on going. through your problems, and just even if you take a baby step, even if you don't move backwards, even if you stay in place for a day or two and then take a baby step, a half a step forward, you're doing good. And if something sets you back and you have to take 2 steps back, that's okay. The next day, take a baby step forward and be kind to yourself. So the number 10 is to create a vision, which is really amazing. I have a vision for this course. I have a vision for this community, the Real Life Resilience community. And I know it's helped so many people so far with the Emotional Abuse Summit, but I sincerely want to help so many more people who have been in tough relationships. And so that's my vision. But what is your vision? I would love to know. In fact, put it down in the comments below, if you will. What is your vision? What's your vision for your life, for your business, for what goals do you have? Because that keeps you going every day. It's what keeps me going. And it also helps you know when you've gotten there. So if you just keep plugging away, eventually that's going to wear you down if you don't know where you're going. And I think we've all heard that a lot of times. So I loved this article. This was at Thrive Global, The Beauty of Resilience. I will also put this in the links after this live stream. Really enjoyed that, and go ahead and take a deep dive into there. Alrighty, so let's go on to our last resilience piece of news this week. This was KQED News, Mind Shift. Love it, Mind Shift. This is 12 ways teachers can build resilience so they can make systemic change. I thought, as we're going into the new school year, and some of us have kids, some of us don't, some of us are teachers, go ahead and take a look at this one, because teachers have to be resilient themselves in order to be available for their kids and available for be able to help their kids, as well as the system, the school system, whether it's at college, high school, junior high, grade school, charter school, whatever that is. Teachers have to take care of themselves and be resilient themselves. And so I thought this was a really great article. I'm just going to skip through a lot of it because you can read it yourself. But what this author has said is, in order to be more resilient, you've got to reflect on quite a few things. And these are things that teachers or any educator or anyone that works with other folks can do to develop a resilient disposition, or cultivate a resilient disposition. And then you are going to step into your power once you do that. Number one is know yourself. And a lot of us, kind of just slog through life, slog through day after day, waiting for Friday, waiting for Saturday, waiting for the next school break or whatever that is. And we tend to just focus on outwardly and never focus inwardly. And we talked about that here in some of this other stuff today. And so self-knowledge helps us to be more confident about our actions and clear on our decisions. And it's what enables us to show up in a way we want to show up. And so I thought that was really cool. And she says this is foundational work, and it absolutely is. You've got to know yourself before you can know what to do next. So emotions is her second key here. Not just for your students, actually. Emotional resilience is emotional intelligence. And what she says is lots of adults have never had the opportunity to really learn about emotions, really learn how to control those emotions. Again, this is mirroring that other article, and I find that really fascinating. Tell empowering stories. This is my favorite one because, again, we are wired for story, and the stories we tell ourselves really affect ourselves. The story we tell other people, we're essentially also telling to ourselves. So this terrible thing happened, or that terrible thing happened. And what she says is the stories educators tell dictate the experience they will have. And so what happens is, when you tell a certain story and you tell it in a certain way, you're constrained to that. And what happens is when you tell empowering stories, then that allows your mind and heart and your body to open up to new situations, new solutions. And I love that. Build community. Again, you can't go this alone. You shouldn't do it. Go this alone. You should cultivate resilience. Like maybe get a couple of friends and say, what can we do to cultivate resilience amongst ourselves or within our communities? Be here now. Again, this brings back into play that mindfulness. If you do nothing else after this, go dig up some mindfulness. Go Google mindfulness and see the benefits of mindfulness. Oh my goodness, you would be shocked. And these are research studies, honest to goodness, research studies and they have done lots of things on mindfulness, lots of studies on mindfulness to show that it helps so many things. So just go Google that. It's really cool. Help you be more intelligent, more emotionally intelligent, better able to solve problems. The stress response will calm down, and of course that stress response has a lot of physical implications in your body. So go take a look at that. Take care of yourself. You think there's a theme here? Take care of yourself. And focus on the bright spots. Again, focus on the positive, because there is always something positive in your life that you can think of each day. And one of my favorite ones is cultivate compassion. And that's not just compassion for other people, your students, your family, your friends. You've got to have compassion for yourself. There is somebody I interviewed, what was her name? I cannot remember her name. It's in the emotionalabusesummit.com, and it was compassion, mindfulness, and compassion. And she combined it, and that was really impactful. And so this author says, recognize that if you're cultivating compassion, you can have a greater understanding with a student who's lost their temper and did whatever they did, and you can respond differently in the moment. That's for that compassion for a student. But like maybe you've messed up, and maybe you need to have compassion for yourself, because everybody makes mistakes. And so you've got to have compassion for yourself. And then number 9 is be a learner. Of course, we are lifelong learners. Usually educators are lifelong learners as well. And so, but maybe be more intentional, because we're always learning about different things. But what if you say, I'm going to be intentional and learn about mindfulness, or I'm going to be intentional and learn about emotional, intelligence, emotional intelligence. And or I'm going to learn how to enhance my brain using nootropic drinks or something like that. Whatever you want, find out and be a learner, because that's how you're going to get out of some situations. That's how I got out of my emotionally abusive situation. I started Googling. I started learning, what is this? It's got to be something. And you start Googling some of those keywords, and then you start finding the words for what's happened to you. You had no words before for it, but now you do. And then you can dig deep into that research and look for causes, look for solutions, look for other people who are going through something similar to you. And I can't say enough about learning. And then play and create. And I'm not going to read each one of these. Ride the wave of change and celebrate and appreciate. You've got to celebrate your small wins and your big ones. And so I'm going to celebrate. After I get off of this, I'm going to go listen and see if I actually have sound. I'm going to celebrate that I have sound on my live stream today. So I really thank you for coming on this journey with me in resilience. Still hope to next week. I know I won't be. I'll be at a conference, and I will be at the Mindshare conference. Let me know if you're going to be there. and I'm going to be incredibly busy. But the week after, I will come back, and I'm actually going to interview a friend of mine, and so I'll share more about that a little bit later. But put down in the comments, let me know if you have ever been studied resilience and what you've come out of it, what lessons you've learned from that. I would really love to know that. And in the meantime, I hope that you have an amazing weekend. I hope that you stay resilient and remember that all of life essentially is a story, and it is never too late to start telling yours. Thank you all.